Dr. Lakesha Roney. Hi, Dr. Roney.
Hi, Dr. Anah. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the very first episode. How are you doing today?
Overwhelmed, but it seems to be the culture of COVID.
How are you coping with all of this?
Lots of deep breaths,
Mm-hmm.
relying on my village
Mm-hmm.
to help me cope. So, my mom and my sisters and extended family and friends to vent to when things get a little
Yeah,
too out of control. And I'm trying to do some self-care,
good.
like
Good.
lots of Netflix.
What episodes are you watching?
Well, I just got done with Bridgerton.
Oh, Duke of Hastings.
Duke of Hastings,
The
my
Duke of Hastings. Quite dashing, isn't he?
quite dashing. Let me tell you.
Yes,
Yes.
he's
So
lovely. He's
lots of
lovely.
Netflix and
Good,
wine.
good, 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 good. Okay. What's that journey been like?
It was not a straightforward journey.
Mm-hmm.
I received my master's in counseling in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And my path has always been set to become a licensed professional counselor. So in 2005, I became an LPC.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do private practice work and work in the community. And that's what I did. I started my private practice in 2007 and started doing clinical supervision while working in my private practice and doing work in the community.
Mm-hmm.
But while doing work in the community, I started supervising interns for local colleges and universities. And my experience with interns was very interesting because I felt as if there was almost a gap in knowledge
Yeah.
between academia and practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it concerned me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some of the feedback that I received from interns was that a lot of their professors had very little experience in the field working.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were academics.
Yeah.
So the knowledge that they received in school was really just academics.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't have that practical knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, well, I might want to look into teaching later on in life, like maybe in my 50s or 60s. So I put off the doctoral path. Then I had an opportunity to work as a college counseling center director at my alma mater, Virginia State University. And I loved working with those students, but found it challenging being an LPC trying to break into faculty positions because I didn't have the doctoral degree.
Oh, wow.
So I have a wonderful director by the name of Dr. Rebecca Branch Griffin, who her focus was public health. And she's a great mentor to me. She said, you're going to have to go back to school, right?
Like, oh.
You need that doctoral degree in order to do what you want to do. And she encouraged me to apply and attend a doctoral program. And I told her, I said, well, I'm here full time at the university and how can I work this out? I really can't do a traditional program. And I started looking to programs, and that's when I ran across Argosy's program in counseling psychology with a concentration in counselor education and supervision. And that program to me fit what I wanted to do. Which is have like one foot in academia and one foot in practice. And I didn't have to give up my job because I'm an adult. I have real responsibilities, mortgage and other responsibilities. And I didn't have the time to do an internship again. I'm supervising interns at my counseling center. So that program really was able to fit. And I knew that going into that program, I needed to have a topic that was meaningful to me. And during that time, my aunt had beat breast cancer.
Mhm.
She and I are very close. She's like a sister to me.
Mhm.
And I knew that my dissertation research had to be focused on breast cancer. And that's what drove me through that program, is really having that in mind, knowing that the research that I was going to be doing was going to be focused on my aunt. And then later, while I was in that program, a cousin of mine had been diagnosed with breast cancer and passed away. So I wanted to dedicate that research to her as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's not so
Yeah,
straight.
I'm so honored that I was sort of part of that journey. Certainly, full disclosure, everyone, I was Dr. Roney's chair, doctoral chair, and I remember you being very, very focused and very, very dedicated um, in that whole process. You know, you called a lot, you asked questions, you were very, very, very focused, and not all students are like that. But I could tell that you really wanted, you were very dedicated to that topic. You wanted to see it through, and you wanted to at some point move on with your life because that yes, because getting a PhD takes your whole life. I mean, it takes over your whole life, literally. Yeah, and I think you need supports around you to make sure that you go through that properly. Were there any obstacles going through that process?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, having to work full time,
Yeah.
being single
Mhm.
Black woman,
Mhm.
having to take care of everything yourself,
Mhm.
having to work full time while going to school. Unfortunately, statistically, Black women take out more student loans than any other group, more in debt. So I didn't qualify for any fellowship, no scholarships during that time. So financially bearing the burden of that was very challenging. Thank goodness for my supervisor being supportive of me flexing my schedule so that I could attend classes.
Good.
But I guess the biggest challenge was I got pregnant with my son right before prospectus. So your baby is due in 2 weeks. You could go into labor on the highway. And I said, what? He said, you better Skype or something. So that's how I defended my perspective. Of course, there were technology issues. 2 weeks before I delivered.
Wow.
And then I had to take a break. There were some challenges because there was a change in faculty.
Yeah.
I had several different chairpersons before you. Thank God you hung in there with me.
Yeah.
And then just that transition, my son is my only child. Transitioning from being single, being a woman that was very independent for 39 years, not having any children, to, I have a child is one obstacle. But then to give birth to that child, to have to nurse that child because I was breastfeeding, and then adjust to going back to work with that child, and then I have a dissertation to complete.
Yeah.
Dissertation process took approximately 3 years.
Yeah.
Because of that transition and adjustment period and taking breaks.
Wow. Well, you got through it, and it was a terrific dissertation. I mean, you were right on board. You did what you were supposed to do, and I'm still waiting for you to, you know what I'm going to say, to publish that thing. Has Dr. Amby talked to you at all? Like, do you have contact with him?
I spoke with him about a year ago.
Okay.
Because he's still saying you need to publish. And I said,
Like everybody else. Yeah.
I will publish.
Yeah.
I email him occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to publish, but after I defended, a few months after I defended, this became another challenge.
Yeah.
My son was exhibiting symptoms of autism spectrum.
Oh, wow.
And it was kind of in my mind that it could be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But his father and I were not too quick to get him assessed.
Mm-hmm.
But then there were more and more symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we decided to go ahead and get him tested. Mm-hmm. And that testing process took a while. Because we did decide to take him to a neurologist to have an EEG, because we wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything medically going on. Mm-hmm. But it took several months for us to get a definitive diagnosis. And we wanted to get him enrolled in the services that he needed. We wanted to get him enrolled in an educational program that was going to support him. And we also wanted to see if he qualified for disability, to get him the insurance so that it could pay for this, because commercial insurance typically doesn't pay for it. Or if it pays, you still have co-insurances and co-payments and things like that. Yeah. So that's what really held up my thoughts about publishing, because I was like, I now have to be there for my child, and I still have to work and be responsible. Mm-hmm. So my son has been the focus for the past 2 years, because I felt like I had to get him to a point where he was stable and he was taken care of and getting what he needed. And sometimes we have to do that.
Yeah, yeah. How's he doing now?
Oh, he is fantastic. He's gotten services, everything that he needed. This is his kindergarten year.
Oh gosh.
And he just is like a little old man professor. So he's doing great. So at this point in my life, I feel like, oh yeah, I feel like I could probably publish now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
But it wasn't all me. It definitely was not all me. I'm not a very religious person, but I'm extremely spiritual. So I do feel like there was a force that was driving me through that process. Yeah. That was totally beyond me. And my village, they were cheering me on. My son's father was like, you want me to take him while you go to the library? I'll give him a bath. You need to write. My mom was like, look, I had you at 17. I got a bachelor's and master's degree. You can do this. Wow. So a lot of people in my corner were pushing and encouraging me to stay in there. Every time I was like, I'm done with this program, I'm not going to do it anymore. It was like, not trying to hear it. You got to keep going. So it was not all me.
Yeah. And that's good to remember for everybody listening. Make sure you have your tribe. Make sure you have your village.
Have your tribe. It's
really, really
important. And you were very encouraging and extremely helpful. Every time I reached out to you, send you an email asking you like a million questions, you would always send a message back with all sorts of other resources. And the same thing with Dr. Daly. And thank goodness for Dr. Hamby.
Yeah.
Being my consultant, and everyone was just so helpful.
Oh, that's really good to hear. Because I've heard nightmares of chairs and committee members not being there for their students, which I just don't know how that even happens,
And that's what was happening with a couple of
the former ones, right? Yeah.
The former ones. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you stuck to it, and I'm glad we now have a Dr. Roney in the house who is doing fantastic things right now. Tell us what you're up to right now.
Oh boy, private practice is still going. I'm not doing as much with my practice as I used to.
What's the name of your practice again?
Inner Self Counseling and Consulting LLC.
Fantastic.
I see a few
And
clients.
you are, wait, and you are in Virginia, right?
Yes, in
Okay.
Richmond,
Virginia.
Virginia.
Okay.
I share office with two other providers, a clinical psychologist and a social worker. I really doing my private practice part-time. I'm mainly focused on consulting and training and clinical consultation and clinical supervision. But I work full-time for Hype Counseling Services in Richmond. I do currently overseeing their outpatient clinic. I supervise 13 therapists.
Wow.
And I do a lot of program development.
Personalities, right?
Yeah. But I love it. I love it.
Wonderful. Yeah.
They're wonderful people.
Nice.
And I do a little contract work here and there. But I really enjoy the work that I'm doing.
That's great. That's great. And you're saving lives.
I guess so, yeah.
You guess so. Of course you are. Yeah.
I don't see that many clients now, so I guess it's different.
Yeah, but you're saving through the therapy or the supervision that you're giving the therapist, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's it's by osmosis kind of thing. Yeah. That's wonderful. Okay, some of your what's your advice to them? For those who are thinking about getting their doctorate?
Well, I would give them the same advice that I oftentimes give to the interns I supervise and also to the residents that I supervise. Why?
Okay.
Why are you doing this?
Because I want to be called doctor.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, that's what they want to do. And I'm like, you have to have a better reason than that.
Yeah.
Really identify your core reasons why you want to pursue this doctoral degree. And does it align with your long-term goals? And is the payoff going to be worth it at the end? Because if it's not in line with those things, it may not pay off. It takes a lot of time, money, and energy, and you have to be focused. You have to be serious about it. So I don't think people realize that. And then, do you know what you're going to do your dissertation on? What's your dissertation going to be about? Because it needs to be about something that you're passionate about, something that's meaningful. Because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of research, and you have to love that in order to make it through that dissertation.
Yeah. Great advice. Thank you. Yeah, great advice. Okay, so last question. I often ask people, what quote inspires them and why?
Dr. Maya Angelou is like one of my favorite poets of all time. And she has a quote that says, do the best you can until you can do better. And then you do better. And that's a quote that I have printed in my office for my clients to see. And that's almost like an affirmation for myself that I have framed on my dresser at home.
That's wonderful.
Because I think sometimes, especially as women, we beat up on ourselves. Sometimes we have an idea of perfection in our minds about who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to act. And it's impossible to reach those ideals. And it's all about doing the best you can. And understanding your best is going to be different at different times, and you have to be okay with that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This has been really an awesome interview. I always love talking to you. I always love seeing you. I am incredibly proud of you. I really do. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck and success. And know that I am also here. You know, I'm also around. So if you need any extra supports, and I know you have your village, but you know, if you need a chief, you know, let me know.
Don't tell me it's an open invitation.
Let me know. Let me know. Absolutely, absolutely. You're incredible. You're incredible, and I'm so honored to know you. So honored that I was part of your PhD journal, and you know.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to do it without you.
No.
You were my
such an honor.
Chairperson.
Oh,
if it wasn't for you, nothing would have ever happened. I was like, forget it.
Oh, wow.
So thank you. Wow. And your perspective, your feedback on the results of the data and adding that multicultural piece, it went over my head. I was like,
that's interesting. Yeah.
I said, oh my goodness, how did I miss out on that? But you brought it to my attention and it came full circle. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So what you've added to me, that's just been invaluable.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And then you invited me to your conference and all of that. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember all of you. You guys are wonderful. I remember all of you. Yeah. And I was very taken by all of you, all your dissertations, all your hard work, and your dedication and your focus. You know, you were very dedicated. So I love to help in any way and bring people back. You know, things come full circle, right? All the time. Yes.
They sure do. They sure do.
Anyway, well, it was lovely talking to you, Dr. Roney, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Okay?
Most definitely.
Okay.